Hello, my name is Drake Greenwood, and I'm here today to talk to you about my interview with Rodney Ray, former Northwestern All-American and football star and participant in the 1995 Rose Bowl. So Rodney Ray, I've known him for a really long time. When I was really young, probably around the age of 10, I started working out with Rodney. He's a football coach here in Houston, a speed coach, and he started off with me and my friends, and he would put on football camps for us, and we'd have a lot of fun with him. But as it transitioned to high school and I became more of a serious athlete, I started working out with him more seriously. So I've known him my whole life, basically, and he's a great guy, and he's one of my great friends and somebody I'd do anything for. He'd do anything for me. He's just a great guy. So when I went to him and asked him to do this interview, he was very happy. We laughed because we've talked about this subject many times, so it's pretty funny to do it in a more formal way and hear his whole story about it. So it was really, really fun interview. He's a great guy. I'm happy to share his story with you today. So let's start off. Rodney Ray was involved in the 1994 Northwestern football scandal where the team was playing. Rodney noticed the team playing at a different level and specifically one player throughout the year as the team struggled. I believe the team ended up going 3-9 in the year. And Rodney is a complete hard-nosed competitor, as he said in the interview. And he said that he was watching people play from the sidelines, and he didn't think specifically their running back Dennis Lundy was playing his hardest and was throwing the games because he knew Dennis had a gambling problem. So he had very wide. He's already suspicious of him, but then he took a few actions during games that made Rodney really suspicious. Specifically, he said the first time he noticed it early in the season, Dennis was put in the game to go for a 2-point conversion, and he noticed that he tripped and fell once he got the ball, pretty obviously, and he knew that Dennis was a good athlete and that shouldn't have happened. He knew since with the gambling problem that made him already suspicious. So Rodney didn't think he had enough evidence at that point to say anything to Dennis and didn't want to blow the whistle there. But the competitive man that he was going to keep an eye on him, as he said he did the rest of the season. He said the breaking point came later in that exact same season when late in the game against Iowa, Dennis was handed the ball and was running and unexpectedly dropped the ball, fumbled, and they ended up losing that game as well. After the game, Rodney said he was just absolutely irate on the sidelines. He couldn't say anything other than he was just pissed off. And he grabbed Dennis and he verbally accused him in front of a lot of people of throwing the game, called him out for his gambling problem, knew that there was something going on here, basically, is what he said. He said he didn't need any other evidence in the drop fumble and the trip. He just knew that Dennis was into something bad, and he was very open about calling him out. So much so that Rodney actually didn't have to take it to the authorities. There was such an issue in the locker room that he had made such a scene and calling him out and yelling at him that the coaches had just overheard it, and then they started their own investigation. So that was a funny thing that Rodney brought up to me, that he didn't have to. He didn't even have to go. He didn't officially take it into anybody. That's why he says he's not like the whistleblower or doesn't really put his name connected to it, because he's like, I didn't report it to anybody. I just took it straight to the man and yell at him, and then people heard me yelling at him, and it went on from there. So the biggest thing, it ended up being blown up, and Dennis, I think, ended up going to jail, and a couple other players were convicted in this crime, and they were for sure throwing games, and it was proven in a court of law. So it was a pretty crazy story that Rodney met this ethical dilemma of, do you call out your teammates without knowing for sure? And so I asked him a couple of different questions about what were the three biggest things that made him want or feel the ethical dilemma and reach the ethical conclusion that he needed to say something to Dennis. And he said, first off, he's all about winning championships. His current company in the city of Houston is called Games of Champions Fitness. He only talks about being championship. It's pretty funny. And I asked him what he wanted his three things to be. He said championship, 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 because that's all he cares about is winning championships. So he knew that if people were against him on his own team, there was basically no chance of that team winning a championship. So that was his main goal, was to win a championship, and he knew that Dennis was staying in his way of winning that championship. So that's why he called him out. basically was his main reason, and his fullest, most convicting reason was that he wanted to win a championship. And what's cool about it is the next season they ended up winning the Big Ten championship and playing in the Rose Bowl. So that was really cool. That the flip side of the things, that he was right, and that was preventing them from winning championships. The next thing was that he has a great faith in God, and that he believed that he should always do the right thing, and he knew these people were not doing the right thing. So he wanted to call them out for it and just and be on the good side, basically, is what the way he phrased it. That he knew there was good happening on the team and bad happening on the team. And instead of being in the middle, he said if you're in the middle, it makes you on the bad side. So he wanted to be on the good side and take action against it. So that's what proposed. That was his second reason, and the second biggest thing that he used to call the people out and have the courage to call out his teammates. And so it was his faith-based decision. And lastly, he said the third biggest thing was his swagger. He said he's a very boisterous guy. He likes to talk big and be loud and excited, and he plays big, and he's very fun and energetic. So he said he played with swagger back in the day, and he found himself wondering, like, in defense when he was a defender, whether that, like, he couldn't play with complete confidence because he knew guys on his teams were playing against him. And it's really hard to play with confidence when your own team is against you. So those were his three biggest reasons on why he felt the confidence to call out Dennis Lundley and help bring that whole situation down and back to light. And it led him to be a team leader for the next year, and he went on to win the Big Ten and play in the Rose Bowl, which is, for Northwestern, that's pretty big deal, since they went 3-9 the year before, and I think they won over 10 games the next year, and obviously won the Big Ten championship. So it was a great conversation with Rodney and a great interview, and I was really happy I got to share it with you. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.